Feel the wrath of the goddess!
Ladies and gentlemen, it is finally time for the complete Storm guide. She finally got some much needed buffs after this most recent patch, and it definitely helped her out a lot. Now, I played a lot of Storm last patch when she was really weak and hard to use, and I still played pretty well with her, and I still got myself to Gold League playing basically just Storm, Captain America, and Rocket. So I've played a lot of Storm. So today we're going to talk about way more than just going over the character abilities with you guys. And we'll get into some in-depth stuff too, like positioning, tips and tricks, when to play Storm, when to switch off Storm, and some training drills. And if I'm up to it, if you see a replay at the end of this video, it means I'm going to include a replay as well, where we're going to go through a game where I played Storm and kind of just walk you through like my mindset and positioning when I'm playing her. So that being said, the first place to start is definitely with her abilities. Now, her auto attack is basically a cleaving wind strike. It has damage fall off at 20 meters, so anything after that is going to increase your TTK, time to kill. And it's very forgiving hitbox. If we hit this right here, you see it comes out in like slashes, so it makes it pretty easy to hit people. So notice even if our cursor is like a little off, sometimes they'll still connect, not so much on the right but on the left. And this is kind of with all characters. A lot of people's hitboxes go a little more to the right. It's pretty forgiving, so it's really not a hard attack to hit. And in the most recent patch, it got a speed increase, and that actually helps out a lot, because I used to have a lot of trouble hitting characters in the sky like Iron Man and stuff just because of the travel speed was too low. Now it's a lot much better. And you can definitely hit people in the air a lot better. So the projectile speed helped it out a lot. So now, on average, within 20 meters, you're going to have a 5-tap TTK. Damage is 55, which means you'll 5-tap 250 HP heroes and 275 HP heroes. If we use our alternate fire, which is this cylindrical cone-shaped lightning bolt, travels up to 40 meters. It's not infinite range, so if we're like going from someone really far away, it's not going to connect, but it hits everything with 40 meters. It does 80 damage, and the good thing about this ability is it has no damage fall off. Our primary fire after 20 meters gets a lot weaker. So notice after this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to hit him. If we're a little closer, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 still. And the thing with her damage fall off is it's kind of complicated. So I'm going to say this right now. We're going to get into her damage boost modifiers and wind modifiers here in a little bit, but after 20 meters all the way up to 70, at 70 or 40 meters, excuse me, after 40 meters, her primary attack's damage fall off is 70%. So it really doesn't do a lot of damage. And Storm's kind of a weird character. Like, you got to play her a lot and get used to her, because she has a damage modifier and a booster damage modifier, her TTK numbers can vary drastically. Like, there's ranges where you can 3-tap people, there's ranges where you can only 5-tap people with your fire, but if you're damage boost and using your alternate fire, you can still get like a 4-tap. So we'll talk about some of the big ones here. I'm not going to go into everything just because her damage fall off, it's kind of like a trend from 20 to 40 meters. Her auto attack goes lower, lower, lower. So it really makes it super complicated with the ranges where you can 4-tap, 5-tap, 3-tap, etc. But we'll get more into that here. So this one, pretty self-explanatory, 8-second cooldown, does 80 damage, nice solid bit of burst damage, a good finisher. Really simple ability to use. Now we're going to get into her. Oh, and also on her auto attack, I forgot to mention, a lot of people don't know this, even though it says it in the character screen, but her auto attack actually cleaves guys. So if you're hitting people at an angle like this, notice we're hitting everybody. We're hitting everybody. We are literally hitting everybody. And this really kind of changes up how you want to play Storm a lot, because a lot of Storms kind of just in the air poking. And yeah, you do want to do that sometimes, but you got to know when's the right time to use your auto attack at a range or high up in the air versus auto attack on the low ground. Like if you're pushing like a really tight choke and they're all like clumped up, you want to just kind of be low, play behind your tank, and just get some cone damage. And even your right click, I said it fires in a cone, it will hit them both, but it connects and stops on the first one you hit. So if you hit them at an off angle, you could technically get everybody with that little cylindrical cone damage, just because it is like a spherical radius. So just something to keep in mind. So now let's get into her shift ability, which is where she can alternate between a damage boost mode and a speed boost mode. Now, when she's in speed boost mode, she gets 16% movement speed and gives allies in this spherical radius a 8% movement speed. When she's in damage mode, the damage is the same, it's 16% increased and 8% for your allies. Now, notice with the spherical radius here, the lower you're out of the ground, the wider it is. The higher you fly, the smaller the spherical radius actually ends up getting. And there you can actually fly too high to where none of the enemies or your teammates are in your radius. So if you're flying a little too high a storm, you're really not getting value from your team bonus here. So it kind of gives her like this strange playstyle where you want to like kind of be hovering over the fight, close enough to where you don't get banged up too hard, but also not too far, because if you're really far away, you're losing a lot of benefits from your AoE support ability, and also your damage falls off a lot. So that makes her kind of a tricky character to play, because she's really emphasis is really placed a lot on positioning whenever you're playing Storm. So now let's talk about the wind mode first, because this is the easiest one to use. I like to stay in this move when I'm traveling around the map. If you use her E ability, which is, I'm just going to call it Overdrive for the sake of this video. It's not called Overdrive. It's called the Goddess Boost. Okay, so when you use your E, if you're in wind mode, you get a 40% increase to your movement speed. You cause a 15% slow to enemies, which is not really too noticeable. As you can see, these bots really don't look like they're slowed much. And then your allies get a 20% movement speed. This ability, you usually don't want to use it unless you're just racing to the point to try to get objective, if you're like an overtime, or if you're in a really bad situation, you just need to make some distance and get out of there. That's the only time I'm going to use my E to like boost out of there, because the E lasts for 8 seconds and has a 15-second cooldown. And this is probably one of your most impactful abilities in your main kit. So you really got to play smart, because you don't ideally want to ever use your Goddess Boost while you're in wind mode, unless it's to escape or you're just trying to close the distance really quick to just get back to objective, because then you're not going to have your E for the big team fight when it really matters. Now, the damage boost, same thing. When we boost E, our auto attack fire will do 30% more damage. So notice, we're doing a little 4-tap here. Also, we shoot lightning bolts down. Let me do it again. So notice, if you use your E overdrive ability, you're doing 75 a lightning bolt, and it'll hit 4 times. Hold on, it should be 4 times. All right, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, so it's once every like 2 seconds. Each one does 75 damage, which means in total, that's going to be basically 300 damage free to any enemies that are in your radius of that ability. And that's why the Overdrive Goddess Boost is so good with damage mode, because you really want to be using this to make plays. There's some cheeky things you could do. Like, for example, let's say they're like out of, let me kill these so they get full HP real quick. All right. So, for example, we're in our normal mode. We're at 15 meters. And this is where we get our damage fall off. So anything in range, we hit 4 times. Now, right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, if we splash in our alternate fighter, 1, 2, 3, alternate fire, they have a sliver of HP left. Like, if we were a little closer, our auto attacks would have hit a little harder. We might have got a 4-tap, but like I said, that's why she's so tricky, because the damage fall off is like a trend down up to 40 meters. So it makes it really tricky to know when you're always getting 4 claps versus 3 claps. Now, if we're in damage boost mode, we can definitely mitigate some of that at a range. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a 4-tap for auto attack. And then if we use our alternate fire, still a 4-tap. Let's alternate fire first. 1, still a 4-tap. So that mitigates it. Now, if we go into our overdrive mode where we boost it by 30%, 1, 2, right click, 3-tap. 1, 2, right click, 3-tap. So damage boosting and using your overdrive past 20 meters will actually let you 3-tap people, which is kind of insane, honestly. Now, I wouldn't always do this unless it's just like one of those rare situations, because notice I'm 3-tapping them, which feels really good, but they're out of my lightning radius. What you want to ideally be doing with Storm whenever you're popping that ability off is you want to kind of be in a position where you have people in your spherical radius, and now watch how fast we kill them with the lightning strikes going off. And I don't even have to hit that guy. I can just alternate fire because I'm doing 75 damage with the lightning strikes that auto cast with this ability. And my damage also goes up 30%, which makes me a monster. Absolute monster. So this is the situation you want to be using your ability in the most, because this is what creates the most value. You put a lot of AoE damage on the enemy team. You're basically 3-tapping people with your alternate fire. We don't have our alternate fire, and we still use the damage boost outside without lightning bolts. It should be a 4-tap. Yeah, it's still a 4-tap. So you can just melt people if you get into position. That's why this ability is so good, and that's why I really don't recommend using the damage boost at range. There's some situations where you can use it, but you lose a lot of value if you're not getting those lightning strikes in the AoE circle. Also, you're boosting the damage of your teammates when you cast it off too, which is really good for just team wipes and making good plays. So now let's talk about our ultimate a little bit, and then I'll talk more about kind of positioning and kind of how to play Storm. So our ultimate is freaking amazing. Basically, you cast your Q. It will go straight into a tornado. You have 6 seconds to get into position. You got pretty decent move speed when you're in here, and if you don't click your ability, it'll just auto cast, and then you get a crap ton of shields, 450 shields while your ult is going. And they buffed it this patch so it slowly decays afterwards, because it used to be whenever you played Storm, if you went in with your ult, you maybe got like 2 or 3 kills, but the problem with it was that you were stuck in the enemy team, and it was really hard to get to a place of safety. Like, you just come out, you'd lose all your shields from the ultimate, be at 250 HP, super squishy in a bad position, and people would just melt you. Now you can go in with your ult, get a couple picks, and basically still be a menace for a little bit and do a lot of damage, and maybe even get a 4th or 5th pick and get to safety. Like, the shielding, the fact that she keeps her shielding now is so huge for Storm, so it makes it a lot safer to use her ult. So now another thing I want to talk about the ult is it does not stack with your win boost or your damage boost, so it doesn't really matter what mode you're in before you go into your ult. But I prefer being in damage boost so I don't have to switch modes afterward, because like I said, when we cast our ult, we're going in, we're gonna click. Our ultimate also sucks people into the circle of it, and then we're in damage boost, so then we can follow up with the lightning strike and really try to melt anybody else since we're right there in the team. And the good thing about it is, like, we're in our primary fire range to do the most damage. So basically you can just pop your ult in and clap some cheeks. And I'll talk more about who you really want to focus your ultimate on here in a little bit. So now, two more things I want to talk about the ultimate. As far as damage goes, each hit of your ultimate does 75 damage a second. Each click. No, I'm sorry. It's 150 a second. And then the total for the ultimate is 750 damage, which is kind of insane. So let's go here and let's change this to really tanky tank character so I can show you. Venom, where's Venom at? He's 800 HP. All right, so we'll switch to Venom here, and now we're gonna cast our ultimate on Venom. Let me get out some ult charge real quick. And let's see how much damage we do if we just use our ultimate on a tank. Look at that. We basically almost melted a Venom. And this is an 800 health point character, by the way. So one tap, he's basically out. Any other tanks with less HP, your ultimate could technically kill them. I will not recommend using your ultimate on tanks unless there's just no other situation or you're just in a weird little pickle. So now, the final thing I gotta tell you guys about Storm's ultimate that nobody basically knows. So notice when you go into your ultimate, let's go into our ultimate. We actually have the option to zoom out to kind of look at positioning and get a better angle. This can be useful for kind of getting a bigger view of like what's going on in the team fight. But a way to really abuse this ability, let's say I cast my ultimate and someone right here comes on the high ground. All of a sudden, that's like the new priority target. Like that's a healer, or like a punch who's about to wreck my team, and I really want to go and change my target to that one. I'm gonna go for this person, but then I saw this guy comes out while I'm ready in my ultimate. So now, if I move over here and I go into my ultimate, I'm basically stuck in this room. And notice, I'm really not getting a lot of value. This just feels bad, and life kind of sucks. Everything hurts. Now, a really cool thing you can do, and you're not gonna have this situation very often, but you have the option. You need to know that you have this, so you have all the tools at your disposal. So now if I cast my ultimate, I go into the room, but if I change my view to zoom out and I go into the room, I am now on top of the high ground, and you can use this to get some crazy positions and angles for our ultimate. And now I can deal with this threat, and I position myself on the high ground. So that is an insanely cool thing you can do by changing just the camera view of our ultimate. We'll go out, but you got to just make sure you're outside of the position of cover first. So if we do that, and I'm already under and I change my camera view, I'm still gonna be on the low ground, but if I'm on the camera view before I go in, then I can go to the high ground. Here, hold on. Yeah, let me show you guys again. So right here, high ground, low ground. I gotta be in that view before I go there to get to the high ground. We actually didn't make it in time there, but I think you guys understand what I'm saying. Basically, Q, up, pull out. Now we go up. Now we're on the high ground. There we go. That's kind of how you got to do it. And it feels amazing. So now some tips for playing Storm. So basically we discussed her ability. She's got a awesome ultimate, does crack damage, sucks people into the center. You could reposition it to the high ground if you need to get an angle on it. Her right click does 80 damage and has 0 damage fall off. I'm just recapping everything for you guys. So this is always going to do 80 damage, but the max range is 40. So if we go a little past 40 meters, we actually won't hit anybody, but it has no damage fall off. So this is a good tool for like poking and getting a little bit of burst damage in. Her auto attack, it cleaves, it pierces, and it has a lot of damage fall off starting at 20 meters. Okay, so now how do we play Storm in matches? So ideally with Storm, you gotta play like super safe. Like if you get caught out of position with Storm, you are basically just insta dead. So there's two main modes, positions I like to play Storm from. The first one is kind of like on the low ground, especially if we're like pushing like a tight choke and everybody's funneling in. I'll play kind of on the low ground behind my tank, and I'll just try to maximize cleave damage. Like some maps have like notoriously tight chokes, so it's really easy to get a lot of extra value from your piercing damage. The second way I'll play Storm is to try to create an off angle. So I'm creating another point on the map that the enemy team has to deal with. So there, let's say my primary team's here. Oh no, don't do that. My team's here. I'm like over here. And now this team has to deal with 2 people attacking them from 2 different angles, which creates a lot of pressure. And this is why a lot of Ironmans do really well. It's because they are, and flankers too, it's because they're creating multiple areas for people to pay attention to. And then teams get split, people lose focus on who they're going for. But you almost never, unless you're just stomping a team fight, you don't really ever want to be way up here just kind of like poking, because you don't have any cover. Let's say they start shooting me. I'm stuck. They're just gonna like, if they have decent aim, I'm basically dead. Even if I wind boost to try to like get to cover, you can use control to like go up and space to go up, control to descent. Notice like the speed boost isn't even really crazy good. Like it helps. It does help sometimes, but it's really not the most reliable way. So she has great mobility in the fact that you can fly around and basically get to anywhere in the map and get any kind of angle on your teammates. So if they have like penny mines or like Loki clones or Namor squids, you can kind of get in a position to try to destroy all that stuff before your teammates go in. But if you get caught out of position, you're basically insta dead. You're super easy to melt, and you don't really have a lot of tools to like get out of a really tight pickle. So with Storm, you really got to play super safe. So playstyle 1 is playing behind your tank, trying to work for the piercings. Playstyle 2 is taking an off angle, but notice I've got like this cover here on my right. So I'll kind of just like, I'll go for this guy, and then I'll just like shift in. And this is honestly not the best angle because this is kind of interfering with me. So let me go change it up and go like somewhere else. Yeah, so what we'll kind of do with Storm is we want to play, if we got a lot of buildings and good cover, and like the whole team's like over here, and nobody's here shooting me, this is a really safe spot. So I can just kind of peek out, kind of try and get a little bit of value. And basically I'm just kind of doing a little bit of chip damage and really trying to put pressure on the team until I have my ult charge and I can go in for like a play. Second, so this is kind of the safe way to play Storm. So if nothing's really crazy is going on in the match, you either want to hold an angle with cover or play behind your tank and try to maximize your cleave damage. Now, the ideal way to play Storm and go ham, the dream position you want to be in is where you're kind of within this 20-meter range, up in the sky, kind of above the team, and most of the enemy team is in your AoE radius effect. This is the dream position you want to get in. Now, don't ever go in and try to do this without any allies or teammates around you, because odds are the enemy team, unless they're just really bad, is going to melt you. But what you really want to be doing with Storm is getting into a position to where you're something like this, hovering over the enemy team, and you have your damage boost on, so you can drop your lightning bolts, spam auto attack, spam this, spam that, and basically you're just going to create a lot of chaos in the enemy team. And I'll wait to do this either if we have like an ultimate, like a Luna Snow ultimate or something that's keeping me safe that I can go in, or if my tanks are diving, like I got a Hulk or Captain America, and they're diving into the enemy team, they're creating so much chaos and distraction for them that the enemy team is literally focused on the tank. Then I'll go in with my wind boost, and then I'll go in, pop off the lightning, and just really kind of wreck shop. And this is the dream right here. This is what every Storm really wants to strive to be in, is you're got your lightning bolts going on, you're doing crazy amount of damage with your boost, and basically the enemy team just takes so much AoE damage if they don't deal with you. So you want to try and look for those moments where they're really distracted with your tanks and get in and do a play like that. And that's literally how I turned so many team fights with Storm, besides your ultimate. The next thing with your ultimate is you always want to, before using your ultimate, you want to ask yourself, what characters do they have on the enemy team? Let me open up the character screen real quick. For example, if they got like a Luna Snow, if I use my ultimate, Luna Snow can just use her ultimate and keep the whole team safe. So I therefore wasted my ultimate. Mantis's ultimate is really good at mitigating the damage I do. Invisible Woman, I discovered her ultimate actually mitigates a lot of the damage I do. Cloak and Dagger's ult can actually kind of save the team as well. So you want to make sure the ultimates that can counter yours are not on the board. So if you get like your ultimate really fast and you notice you got to pick on the healers like 2 or 3 times and you already got your ultimate and haven't died, you probably have your ultimate before them, so it's probably safe to use your ultimate. But if you haven't seen them use an ultimate, ask a teammate, and if they have it, hold on to your ultimate because it's game changing and you don't ever want to waste it and have it get countered by like Loki's little AoE, keep the team alive ability. Like, you don't ever want that. The second thing is you want to know which characters have a lot of mobility and can get into position away from your ultimate. Like, I'm not going to use it on someone who can just instantly jump out and dash out. Let's say Wolverine could potentially jump out, Iron Fist can just dash around, Spider-Man can swing and hug. So my high priority targets for this ultimate are always going to be the support characters, because these characters, if they don't have their life-saving ability, it's a free kill. Even if I'm solo ulting the support, destroying the enemy team supports will carry your game so much because the enemy team will just lose a ton of freaking sustain. So always try and go for the supports with your ultimate and get a little cheeky flank before a team fight, but make sure they don't have their ultimates to counter you. Try to avoid using ultimates on people like Star-Lord. You can dash out of it, boost out of it. Like, a lot of these assassins have a lot of mobility, and a lot of them can get out of your ultimate if they are pretty smart and don't have their abilities on cooldowns. But the important thing to keep track of is the healer ultimates, because they will definitely counter your ultimate, and your ultimate is game changing. And you ideally never want to use it on the tanks. Like, you can do some damage on the tanks after you kill the supports, then just kind of move the tornado around and try to get as much damage as you can.
Feel the wrath of the goddess! They couldn't weather the storm.
All right, so now let's go into like a little training drill. So the good thing with Storm is that her aim is actually really forgiving because of that like big cleave hitbox. It's really not too difficult to aim with Storm at all. So you really don't have to work on that mechanically, but let's go over here into the trial mode and I'll show you like a little drill you can kind of do to just kind of get used to how her abilities work and everything. All right, speed boost. Come on. See, even the speed boost, like you're still pretty slow, so you really got to pay a lot of attention to positioning. So now let me change the control panel here, and what we're gonna do, we'll put some Luna Snows in since they're pretty skinny. We'll generate random, generate a range, short to long range. I mean, well, you could just take mid to long range, is fine. We'll change this to Luna Snow, and you can start by keeping. What I would recommend is, if you're really bad at like aiming and stuff, you can start on horizontal, but I like to go random here and then up the movement speed to quick, just so they're moving really fast, so that way you can really like practice your aim, okay? So hit enter and apply. Perfect, parameters in, and now we'll go ahead and start off. And basically what you want to do, just kind of get used to like hovering over people and just shooting them with your wind cleave, okay? So we'll pop off our E and like basically look at how much damage we're doing. And the best part is that your lightning bolts will hit anybody in range. So even if you're kind of struggling getting good aims off on people, you just basically have free range, you know, just pop off your E and just hover up, hover over people, and kind of just, this is the golden rage for Storm. Like, this is where you're doing a lot of damage, just hovering over them, doing some work, get used to casting your ultimate, see how it works, play around with the camera views a bit. And honestly, you really don't need to do that too much. Like I said, mechanically, as far as aiming and stuff goes, she's really easy to use. So you don't really need to practice too much in the drill mode compared to other characters. So now, let's hop into a replay, and I'll kind of walk you through this game that I just played. I just played this earlier today. So the matchmaking queue reset, I played 3 games with Storm, got an MVP game with Storm, and I'll kind of walk you through like my mindset and kind of what's going on in this replay. All right, guys. So first game, we're playing here on the new map. I don't really know this map, but I'm basically just going to still kind of use the principles I'm telling you guys. All right, so basically you kind of see I'm at an angle here so I can kind of watch this high ground flank, but also not push out too far so I can actually kind of go back to cover if I need to. Hulk's going on, he's creating some chaos. I start to take fire, I back out, try to get to an angle to where they can't actually poke me. Now I'm playing a little bit lower. Spider-Man's here, definitely high priority threat. If he gets his combo off on you, you're basically dead. So I'm casting my ability, use the Thunder Strike, and I focused him down, and we actually got him before he did too much damage. Now I'm kind of just hovering, trying to stay close but not too close to where I take too much damage, and we're just dealing value. We're taking some damage, now we're backing off. No sense in overcommitting to the fight and getting picked. That's how you snowball games. Now I got some heals. I'm playing on the low ground for a little bit. And since they're all really clumping here, notice how tight this choke is. So I'm getting a lot of basically just free cleave damage and ult farm doing this. So I'm just playing down my tank for a little bit. Saw a lot coming in. Not too worried. Playing back with my healers. Heals are pretty good. And I'm just playing the slow game right now. Don't need to do anything crazy. Just trying to get value where I can. Our tank got picked, so I know we got to pull back. Psylocke's ult again. I know for sure we got to pull back now. So I ping retreat, and I'm just trying to create space, and I'm trying to get out of there before they overcommit to the fight and dive to me. And I think my whole team gets wiped here. Yeah, so my whole team gets wiped here. I saw that coming a mile away, so I started to back up immediately because there's no sense in feeding an extra kill to them. I'm kind of just watching, seeing where they're coming from while waiting for my teammates back, but I'm not overcommitting. I'm not being poking. I don't want them to really know I'm here. I'm moving in a little bit. I see my teammates put a teleportal down, so I'm expecting them to come out any second now. Now I'm holding this angle. Kind of playing outside my optimal range, but right now I'm still waiting for my team, so nothing wrong with this. Just trying to play safe. Throwing in some abilities, doing a little bit of chip damage. Nothing too crazy. Ultimate is about to be charged here. Spider-Man on me. I gotta deal with him. I'm casting my AoE lightning strikes, and I see Spider-Man backs off, so I know I'm safe. Kind of made me waste my awesome ability, but I'm gonna go in with my ultimate here, and I actually learned something here. So I wasn't sure how good the new character's ult was against my ult. So I tested it out here, and actually this was a misplay by me. This was a bad play because they were able to out-heal all the damage I did with Invisible Woman's ult. And I think their Cloak and Dagger might ult here too. So notice I'm ulting, and I'm just like, oh my god, this was a horrible mistake because I literally did absolutely nothing. They out-healed that like it was a joke. So from this point on, my mindset's changed. Now I realize, like, okay, her ult's actually a threat. And this is my first time playing against Invisible Woman, so I wasn't aware that she did that. So now I'm going to recalibrate my gameplay. From this point moving forward, I am not going to throw out my ult when I know Invisible Woman has her ult up. I'm going to wait until she uses it before I go in and try to make a play. So now I'm just back to playing safe, do a little poke damage, trying to not die. Switching to damage mode here because I see Spider-Man is trying to dive me again. He's doing a good job baiting that ability out of me, so I'm moving forward, doing some damage to this Groot and Shark. And right now, all we're doing, trying to create value where we can, and basically just staying safe. Psylocke's going in, I'm trying to go help follow up with her. I decide I'm too slow, let me just focus on this Groot here instead. And right now, we're in the sweet range. Like, we were in the golden range, and we're able to do that safely because we had Doctor Strange there. Hulk in the backline causing chaos, that's great. Switching back to win mode, I like to, majority of the time, stay in win mode. The only time I really use damage mode is to do those lightning strikes if I'm trying to go in for a play. And on occasion, if I'm like holding like an angle, kind of like we've been doing, you can switch to damage mode to kind of just spam some damage down. But I usually prefer staying in win mode because, like I said, positioning and movement is so important for Storm. Like, if you get caught at a bad angle, you are literally just dead. So now she's ulting, I'm backing out, I'm giving them some space, trying to do a little damage to the supports in the back line. Not really doing anything too crazy here, guys. Really, we're just kind of farming ult. I got my ult again, and I use it here. I know that Invisible Woman used her ult, but the reason why I'm instantly casting my ult is because I know that Invisible Woman died like twice, and I haven't died once yet, so I know I got my ult charged faster than her. And if we look on the replay, she's actually at only 70% of her ult charge. So this was just kind of a game sense moment. Like, if you're not sure if the enemy team has an ult, then you definitely want to wait it out first, like I said. But I know she doesn't have her ult because I saw her get picked twice while I've been in the fight the whole time. So I know I got my ult back faster this time. So now I'm going to ult her before she gets her ult and just take her out of the fight. So my priority here is actually just to go back for that support. And if I'm lucky, I'm going to get a second one here too, since they're kind of clumped up. So we're going back. She's pretty low. I'm just going to finish her off here. And then with the rest of it, I'm going to go in and do some damage on this tank, but I got rid of my high priority target who counters my ult. Now I'm going straight to lightning mode. Able to not take too much damage because I had some residual shields after my ult. And you know what? Nothing crazy. Not the most game impactful ult, but taking the supports out of the fight is huge. We got Jeff, and now they really have nobody until their Invisible Woman comes back. Holding the angles, playing low, checking on the team. And we're just playing smart. Spider-Man in the back line, top priority. And we already won the game. So Spider-Man, if played well, he can definitely destroy you. And I'll talk about this a little more after the replay when you want to switch off Storm. So let's go into the next replay. Skip forward a little bit, skip forward a little bit. Now we're on attack, and we don't have to really push the payload too much since we did a pretty good job holding. So basically, I see they're basically camped right up outside of our spawn. So what I'm doing is I'm just attacking from spawn. Don't need to overextend, don't need to poke out too far. Just trying to do some damage from the safety of spawn while I'm getting healed. Accidentally make a little misplay, going forward trying to use my electric strike, and I almost got melted. So I made it back to spawn in time and got a little bit of heals. We get a pick. Now I know I can take some space since we have man advantage here. So now I'm going out a little forward, and I'm really trying to just do some damage on the squishy backlines. Not even hitting all my shots, but still, the important thing is we haven't died yet, and we're playing smart, just trying to create value where we can. Getting some kills, staying in win mode so my teammates get a speed boost so we can kind of catch up to them really quickly. And now we got them on the defense. They're down to 3. We have a full team. Might as well just push in. And now we back up. Create a little space. They're getting some reinforcements. Teammates are coming back. I'm coming back, playing with my team. Holding the angle here. Captain America's here trying to dive my backline. Trying to peel for her. Throwing my electric strikes out. And I'm really just trying to focus this Captain America because I don't want him diving my supports. Captain America forced to retreat. He's going into the invisible thing. I get a pick on him with my alternate fire. And I can't see anybody in that, so I'm literally just spamming my shots there. They're all in here, and this is a great spot to cast my ult. I see them all clumped up, and I saw the invisible woman use her ult. So I go in, and I absolutely just destroy. We get a triple kill with that ult because they were all clumped up together. And now we just basically getting a team wipe for our team. Bruce, last one left. We pick him. We can go back to pushing the payload. And that's it, guys. We basically won the game there. And that's basically all you got to do as Storm. Now, it does take some learning. Like I said, the hardest part of this is definitely the positioning and the angles for Storm. Because if you're out of position, you get picked, you're basically just dead in the water. So basically, play at the off angles, play behind your tank, try and get into that dream spot position where you can go over the team, use your E, cause a lot of chaos and lightning strikes, and then get some game play changing ults by going in and diving the supports when their abilities are off cooldown. Now, if you're unable to kind of do the latter of what I said, and you're having a lot of trouble getting picks with your ult, and you're having a lot of trouble getting into that dream position with your lightning strikes, that's when you got to switch off Storm. If they got a Spider-Man who's just really countering you and he's really good mechanically and just destroying you, switch off Storm and switch to someone else you can get value with. Like, too many people hard play one character. And like, for example, if I was like playing really bad or if our front line was like horrible, I would switch off and I would go to tank. I ended up staying Storm because I was getting value with Storm. But if you're ever playing the character and not getting value, definitely switch off. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this guide. Please leave a like if you did. Have an amazing day. Don't forget to smile and consider subscribing to the channel. More guides to come. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Feel the wrath of the goddess!